Looking back, I mean, the sheer stupidity of Keir Starmer allowing 100 Labour supporters to go over to the key swing states in America to campaign for Kamala.
Kevin O'Sullivan just humiliated Keir Starmer on live TV, and it was absolutely epic. And Starmer asked for it after making a huge mistake by sending 100 Labour supporters to the US to back Kamala Harris. Like, seriously, he thought getting involved in American politics would help Labour back home. That's why O'Sullivan called it sheer stupidity and pointed out that British voters just don't care about that kind of stuff.
I mean, think about that now in the cold light of day, now that Trump has triumphed. How stupid! What a moron to do that. What a moron.
And just when you think it couldn't get worse, he even warned about the disaster that could happen if Trump comes back into politics, and guess what? He did. O'Sullivan's point was clear that if leaders are so out of touch with their own people, they won't last long. He told Labour to stop focusing on crazy ideas and start listening to what voters really care about.
Yeah, probably. So those are all Democrats, or obsessive Democrats. I like the one in the middle who said, I will never touch another man again. That could dovetail nicely with men's plans for you, honey. So, I mean, this is just ridiculous. Over here, the same... Well,
there was a protest outside the American embassy yesterday. Yeah. 5 people turned up to protest against Trump. 5 people.
5 people. Well, so we're showing a little bit more common sense, but among the sort of literati, among the media.
Keir Starmer thought sending 100 Labour supporters to meddle in the US election was a brilliant idea. Can you believe that? This guy's political judgment is so bad, it's almost impressive. He didn't just mess up, he made one of the dumbest decisions ever. If there's a trophy for embarrassing yourself on the world stage, he's got it in the bag. What a total joke.
That sounds like a good idea. Meanwhile, old cackling Kamala's going, yeah, I can pay for trans surgery for prisoners. You know, I mean, come on. Come on.
So Rory Stewart is very much one of these, I guess you call them a kind of political intellectual, a kind of, you know, a bit like Emily Maitlis and some of these others, that they think they're cleverer than everybody else.
Lefties is what they are.
Yeah, but they're politically intellectual on the base. They think that they are cleverer and smarter than the electorate, but they are the most out-of-touch people of all. Yeah. They don't understand, and this is the case in point in the US. The biggest issues, and I argued about this when I covered, I think, for Jeremy Kyle this week, I argued about this with an American political commentator. I said, look, surely the basic issues are immigration, crime, and the economy. Yeah. I mean, oh, no, it's abortion. I said, but hang on, I understand that abortion is an ideological thing, and it's actually the only thing that Kamala Harris actually came out with as a policy. Nothing else. There's no other policy, no other vision. I said, but it doesn't affect most people, but the economy does, and immigration does, and so on.
And here's the thing about, this is what people get wrong on this side of the Atlantic. People in Britain, because we speak the same language.
Keir Starmer genuinely thought sending a bunch of British Labour supporters to sway US votes for Kamala Harris was a brilliant idea, as if a few Brits could suddenly change the entire course of American politics. Did he honestly believe Americans would be thrilled to have foreign interference in their elections? What's next, Keir? Trying to tell them how to run their BBQs too? Starmer wasn't saving the day, he was making a clown of himself. His pathetic little stunt didn't sway a single vote, it just made him look like a total fool. Trump wins, and Starmer's left with egg on his face in 2 countries. Congratulations, Keir, you've officially won the most irrelevant award. What a disaster.
Donald's already talking about it. He's already saying, you know, this guy's really left-wing. I'm worried about him. You know, Donald's a pragmatist, but also he's like an elephant. He never forgets. So our relationship with America, what they call the special relationship, it's going to be in trouble. It's going to be in trouble thanks to the idiocy of our Prime Minister, of our ideologue, student activist Prime Minister.
Starmer waltzed into US politics like he was some kind of big deal, only to make an utter fool of himself. This wasn't a simple mistake, it was a full-blown disaster that dragged the UK down with him. The whole world saw it. Imagine Trump watching this clueless left-wing British leader try to make waves on his turf. Keir, wake up, you're not the star you think you are. The embarrassment was real.
It is pathetic. But, Russell, let's sort of get going. We'll try to analyse what's happening in Democrat land, in fact, lefty land all over the world, here as well. They're trying to sort of analyse what went wrong, you know, how come we lost so bad? Remember, Kamala didn't just lose. She was pummeled, thrashed, got the worst result of any Democrat since 1988.
Keir Starmer really outdid himself, didn't he? His supporters will try to spin it as showing solidarity with the Democrats. Yeah, because nothing screams solidarity like humiliating yourself and throwing UK diplomacy out the window. What on earth was he thinking? Trump's back, and Starmer's busy acting like some meddling left-wing Brit nobody asked for. This guy actually thinks his opinion matters to Americans? Newsflash, it doesn't. Keir Starmer is the uninvited guest who refuses to leave, just making everything more awkward and trying to grab attention like it's his only shot at relevance. Pathetic.
One of these, I guess you call them a kind of political intellectual, a kind of, a bit like Emily Maitlis and some of these others, that they think they're cleverer than everybody else.
Lefties is what they are.
Yeah, but they're politically intellectual on the base. They think that they are cleverer and smarter than the electorate, but they are the most out-of-touch people of all.
Yeah.
They don't understand, and this is the case in point in the US.
Look at Keir Starmer, trying so hard to play the role of some kind of political guru, drawing these ridiculous parallels between the Democratic Party and the Labour Party like they're somehow the same thing. Newsflash, Keir, Britain isn't America, but clearly he's so desperate to copy whatever's trendy across the pond that he's willing to drag the Labour Party to new lows, completely humiliating himself in the process. It's like watching someone force-feed you a meal you didn't order, and guess what? We don't want American politics in our British culture, but Keir's too busy pretending to be the hero no one asked for. Keep dreaming, buddy.
Coming across the southern border that Joe Biden let in, about the collapse of law and order, about the collapse of American power in the world. Nobody was listening to Biden in the Middle East, in Ukraine. That's what Trump said, I will sort all this out. And guess what? Americans said, that sounds like a good idea. Meanwhile, old cackling Kamala's going, yeah, I can pay for trans surgery for prisoners. I mean, come on.
Then we have this whole woke agenda he keeps pushing, the kind of stuff no average Brit is asking for, but Keir seems obsessed with. He's throwing his energy into fringe policies, probably hoping he'll look like the ultimate progressive leader. But what about the issues that people actually care about? Cost of living, job security, the economy. Meanwhile, Starmer's too busy with his progressive agenda to notice what the real everyday voter is dealing with. It's like watching someone rearrange deck chairs on a sinking ship, convinced they're making a difference.
Have a listen, because Rory Stewart hasn't got a sodding clue what he's talking about.
Yes, and he said that Harris would win, and now admits that it wasn't based on any sort of data or any empirical research or any logic. It was just because he wanted her to. So just complete bias.
That's exactly it, Russell.
Complete bias.
That's exactly it.
Yeah. He's also £100,000 worse off, and we should not let him off the hook. He bet £100,000 that she would win.
Yeah.
She hasn't. Rory Stewart, pay up. That money needs to go to a charity, not of his choice, actually. I suggest of, I don't know.
But it gets even more absurd. Take Rory Stewart, Starmer's buddy who went ahead and bet $100,000 on Kamala Harris winning the presidency. That's right, $100,000. It's like a comedy routine where the jokes write themselves. Stewart, apparently, decided that he knew the US political landscape better than Americans themselves. I don't know who's worse, Stewart for placing that ridiculous bet, or Starmer for actually aligning with him, a man who lost 6 figures on an election he couldn't even vote in. That's who Keir Starmer thinks is a credible source. It's beyond embarrassing. It's like watching someone take advice from a fortune teller who's clearly wearing a fake crystal ball.
By the way, let's have a look at this, by the way. I'm glad Trump won for many reasons, but I'm a shallow man.
Well, but maybe because of the meltdown.
I'm a shallow man, and mostly it's so I can laugh at the lefties.
Yes, exactly.
Let's have a look at some of these Democrat supporters kind of losing it. This is funny. Watch this.
And then there's Trump, right? Love him or hate him, the guy actually knew how to speak to his people. Immigration, jobs, law and order, topics that, shocker, actually matter to voters. Meanwhile, there's Keir Starmer, standing there, pushing policies that could only make sense in a twisted comedy sketch. Funding transgender surgeries for prisoners? Yep, that's the genius hill he's decided to die on. Can you even picture it? The average Brit, struggling to pay bills, and Starmer's out here rambling about policies no one asked for. It's like he's actively trying to see just how much he can alienate his own supporters. What a disaster.
Yeah, I mean, it's deranged, isn't it? I mean, rather than looking at the real reasons, which is that they fielded the wrong candidate, They failed to listen to the electorate. They have gone too woke and now seemingly want to double down. It's very reminiscent, actually, of the Conservative Party here, isn't it, Kev? Where they lose, but they don't really understand why they've lost, and then they double down on stupid.
Oh, they're stupid.
They double down on stupid, thinking, well, if we do a bit more of what we did, perhaps it will be better next time.
Every time he talks, it's like he's forgetting what matters to people. It's all about impressing the elites, the academics, the think tanks, as if they're the ones voting him into the office. Meanwhile, the actual voters, ignored, overlooked. It's like he thinks the average Brit is just background noise. People are out here struggling to get by, and Starmer's fixated on issues so far removed from reality, it's laughable. He's wrapped himself in this bubble of progressive ideals, completely unaware of what life is like outside of his little echo chamber.
Perhaps it'll be better next time. No, it won't.
But just to stop you for a second, there are Tories who think, essentially, that they...
More left.
That they should have gone more left.
More, yeah.
No, you idiots!
Yes.
Far more right. What's the matter with you?
Because you know what you end up with then is people like Rory Stewart, who I really hope we're going to be talking about.
Yeah. Well, I've talked about him already. I've had a good old go at him on Twitter as well.
Let's not forget how desperately he wants to model Labour on the Democratic Party. It's as if he's forgotten that Labour's strength lies in representing British workers, British families, British concerns, not copying a foreign party's agenda. He thinks if he just mirrors the Democrats, he'll somehow transform Labour. But this isn't America, Keir. British people want leaders who actually understand their daily lives, not someone trying to be an American political impersonator. But he's clueless. Starmer thinks he can just recycle democratic ideas, slap a Labour label on them, and the voters will cheer him on. Newsflash, no one's impressed. People see right through it. They want leaders who are grounded in reality, not someone living in a fantasy where every progressive policy from the US magically solves UK issues.
I'll tell you, I mean, I've lived in America. He does not understand America. And all these lefties on this side of the Atlantic, how could they do this? How could they do this? Because Donald Trump spoke to them. He spoke to the blue-collar people. He spoke to the people who are having trouble getting by, who are struggling with the cost of living, who are very worried about 20 million migrants, illegal migrants, coming across the southern border that Joe Biden let in.
And there you have it. Keir Starmer, the guy who's so out of touch with reality, he might as well be running a country on Mars. His idea of leadership, a cocktail of empty promises and virtue signalling that literally no one requested. Policies, just hollow buzzwords tossed out like stale popcorn. Promises? Please. Those are just words from a guy who's clueless about what actual Brits need. Starmer doesn't lead. He plays at it like some political impersonator who couldn't find his way around the issues with a map and a flashlight.
Kamala didn't just lose. She was pummeled, thrashed, got the worst result of any Democrat since 1988, lost the popular vote, lost all the swing states. She was annihilated. So what they're now saying is it was George Clooney's fault. Because George got Joe Biden to stand down because he said we can't win with Joe, and he wrote an op-ed piece in the New York Times saying we can't win with Joe and that he wouldn't give the Democrats any more money unless we got rid of Joe. Joe would have kept the working class vote. A, no he wouldn't, and B, there's only one person in the world I could think of who would lose worse to Trump than Kamala Harris. That's Joe Biden, right?
So there you have it. Keir Starmer, the man who somehow thought he could change global politics from a British backyard. From meddling in American elections to pushing policies no one actually wants, he's turned Labour into a political circus. And let's be honest, it's hard to take someone seriously when their main concern is impressing a crowd that doesn't even have a stake in what's happening at home. He's lost touch with what truly matters to the British people. Maybe it's time he took a step back and remembered who he's supposed to represent, the hard-working, everyday voters who need real solutions, not empty grandstanding. Until then, we'll just be here watching as Keir Starmer continues to be a global joke.
And you could just tell in her eyes. If you voted for Donald Trump, you're ugly. I think you're all freaking ugly. So not only won't care when all the bad stuff that's gonna happen happens to you, I actually want it to happen to you.
So the white want to be back on top. I don't want to touch another man with a 10-foot hole.
We need more time. I know some people don't ever get their citizenship, but we worked so hard for it.
Donnie Two-Scoop Baboon Ass has done to our country with the division, the open racist, hateful comments, and just giving permission for them to be flannel-wearing, mouth-breathing, baboon mindless. I'm sorry, I'm a little heated.
Yes, yes. So today, I've decided that today I am sad.
But I pray to God for anyone that voted in this election. Minority doesn't even have the same mindset as Trump. I pray to God these repercussions hit y'all not only first, but harder.
So let's give it up for Keir Starmer, folks, the man who's turned British politics into a global comedy. He's out there, posing as the great progressive hope, while the voters are left scratching their heads, wondering if he even remembers what country he's in. Thanks, Keir, for the endless entertainment. Now, how about getting a grip and maybe, just maybe, remembering who you're supposed to be representing? If you're as tired of this political circus as we are, don't forget to hit that like button, leave a comment with your thoughts, and subscribe for more analysis on the madness that is British politics.